The Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine Institute for Legislative Action presents Leadership Through Action. Now, here are your hosts, David Trahan and Mike Shaw.
Welcome to Leadership Through Action, a production of the Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine Institute for Legislative Action with Dave and Mike. Mike, the hurricane is over.
I know.
The election is behind
Finally,
us. Oh,
yeah.
my God.
I feel bad for Georgia because it doesn't sound like they have a runoff coming. They're going to get another month of this crap.
Oh,
man.
no.
Can I say that on air?
Yeah. Well, when you after a hurricane, you look back over the countryside and it's just wreckage.
Oh, yeah.
All the wreckage is behind us. But amen.
Thank God.
You can watch TV now.
I know.
You can turn the radio on.
Imagine that. We can see some products, Coca-Cola and some new trucks maybe.
I heard some great music on the radio this morning. No interruptions. Oh, it was just, it was wonderful.
Yeah,
what a relief.
No doubt. Hey, before we get going, I got to tell you something.
Uh-oh.
I went, some people may have noticed I've lost a little bit of weight. I decided to get fit.
Yeah, you look great.
Thank you. And what actually brought that on, it was last winter I came to the realization I was actually pulling in a nice sized salmon ice fishing, and I'm kneeling at the hole and I get it in all the stuff and I take it off, put it back in, get a picture. I couldn't get up. I was too freaking heavy. My legs were too weak. I had to crawl over to my snowmobile and use it as a hoist,
No,
so that's when I decided to get fit. So in reality, my old ice fishing suit, which was too big for me then, it just doesn't fit. So I ended up shopping for a new ice fishing suit, and a friend of mine got this. It's Ice Armor, it's called. It's from Clam. And so I checked in at Cabela's, and I sent him an email. I didn't even have to call. I just sent an email. And I said, hey, I'm a SAM member. Here's the member number. And sure enough, I got this invoice back. Normally, the list price on it is $229.99. And with the SAM discount, it's $183.99 for the bibs. And it was the same discount and price for the jacket. So it was $45 off each, $90 altogether on this invoice.
Wow.
$90 off.
Isn't that like 8 or 10 year membership to SAM?
Yeah, I know, exactly. I mean, well, even if you paid full price, it's still, almost 4 years of SAM memberships. And that's just one purchase. I've gotten big discounts. I've saved $100 on a lot of different things.
Yeah, and that's one thing, joining SAM, we have other discounts as well, but that Cabela's discount is huge. And I've had other people recently do the same thing. I think Nick Archer, one of our other board members, contacted me and said, hey, look, I just got a great discount at Cabela's. It would have paid for a 3-year membership. Yeah. That was one purchase. So if you're out there and you're not a SAM member, the first thing we do for you is protect your rights to hunt, fish, and recreate in the outdoors. But there's a lot of benefits to being a SAM member.
Absolutely.
So go to sportsmansallianceofmaine.org, or you can call our office at 623-4589 and join. With that, Mike, we always start our show out with, what did you do last week in the outdoors?
Not a whole heck of a lot. I raked leaves.
I had one of those weeks recently. I'm
terrible.
Glad to see somebody else have it.
I know. Since our fishing trip on the Nor'easter, it seems like I've just gotten so busy with other stuff going on. And I did get out a couple weeks ago fishing at camp, and we caught the brown trout and some bass and stuff like that. That was fun. Yeah. But other than that, no. And I always say to myself, well, I still have 6 weeks with my crossbow. So
yeah. Well, I got out the first day of deer hunting season. Some family came down a river. It was my Uncle Bruce's grandson came down, and I'm trying to help him a little bit hunting, and he's a good kid, and I had them set up in a little ground blind. They didn't see anything, but when they came down into the woods, they spooked a whole bunch of them. They all came running right down by me. It looked like a herd of sheep went by me, and one deer went right under my stand, and I ended up seeing a big buck, but it was too late. But they were on the move. They'd been spooked, and they went through, and I just didn't feel comfortable with the shot. But I bet I saw 15 deer the first day. Didn't see any in the afternoon, but I saw a pile in the morning. Huh. And so there were a lot of deer out. And the weather's warming up, and I suspect things will slow down. But right now, we're lucky. We're going to get some 60-degree days, up closer to 70. And it'll help us get all of our projects done before winter.
Yeah, well, hopefully when it gets cold again, hopefully it cools off shortly after that, and the deer will get back out again.
Yeah, I want to get back to that deep sea fishing trip, and then we'll get into our show here in a second. Right. But I hadn't eaten pollock in a long, long time, and I think I caught 10 or so pollock when we went deep sea fishing, and I baked some up. Actually, my wife did for our family when they were visiting, and boy, that was good. Was it good? It was as good as haddock, I thought. And so, anyway, I have 14 packages of meat from that trip, and I'm going to enjoy every bit of it.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. I weighed mine, actually. I had 17 pounds of just filet.
Nice.
I had many packages. I usually package it in 3.
Yeah.
And boy,
unfortunately, we did have one casualty on the trip, though. Becky's been suffering from tendonitis in her hand ever since.
Oh,
that 285-foot drop with that great big heavy pole and stuff cost her some agony this last week. But anyway, we're going to get into it. The election is over with, and there were some really pleasant outcomes for us as an organization, I think as for the state too. But everything's still up in the air at the presidential level. It's going to come down to one state. It's going to choose our president, and it looks like Nevada might be that state. John, if there's any updates during the show, you let me know. But
absolutely, yeah.
In what I think was a big surprise, the Sam ILA was very involved in the Senate race between Speaker Gideon and Senator Collins. Not a single poll showed Collins with a chance to win that. The numbers were pretty big for Speaker Gideon, and we got involved in that campaign as an organization. I think ran a good campaign for what little budget we had. I was told recently that it's almost $200 million was spent, and for our little $100,000 budget we had, I think we're pretty effective because Collins did end up pulling it out. She did it with 51% of the vote and did not go to ranked choice voting, which is
Sportsman's Alliance of Maine actually really, I think, pulled her right over the top.
I think so too.
Because we did a lot of targeted advocacy for her. It wasn't just broad-based, it was... We were
strategic in our deployment. We did a lot of radio. We did interviews and whatnot. We have a huge fishing game club network that we mobilized. It was interesting, and this was pointed out to me after the election by the Collins campaign. If you do an overlay map with the question 3, which was the background check initiative from Michael Bloomberg, as well as the Bear referendum, the maps are almost identical. Where Collins won big is where we won big in those campaigns, and where Speaker Gideon won big was where they won big in those on the other side of that issue. So our organization does have a pretty extensive grassroots network, and we know how to mobilize, and it showed in this election. And the consequences of that are, depending on what happens with the presidency, I think you're going to have a better balance in Congress. The Senate looks like it will remain with the Republicans in a very narrow vote, and I think this race in particular helped shape that Senate majority for the Republicans. In the House is a majority Democrats. Some likelihood that Biden could win this. That'll at least strike a balance, and people will have to work together at the federal level.
I'm hoping, we need the Senate especially to work together.
Yes.
With the executive branch. If it is Joe Biden, they need to work together. I think Joe Biden has put out word that he wants to work with everybody.
Yep.
And I hope, if Senator Collins is listening to this, I really hope that you can facilitate that too, because you have a lot of seniority up there. You have a lot of pull and power. And I think if she teams up with other Republicans and Democrats, Joe Manchin, I think, they could really get some stuff done for the country instead of seeing the Senate as being some place where everything goes and just dies. It's unfortunate that that's how it's been, but I really hope it comes back and that they work together.
Just one thing I want to mention, that this show is being videotaped on Thursday, because this is a very fluid race, and if it changes by the time airtime, they're going to wonder.
Yeah, what
they
happened?
don't know what's going on.
That is true. Yeah.
So just to let people know.
Yeah, the folks that are listening, I held off taping this show until Thursday because I wanted to be as close to the conclusion of the election as possible. Unfortunately, with the presidential race, we just can't get there. We can with the House and the Senate here in Maine, and we'll get to that in just a minute. I want to go down through some races that I think are significant. But getting back to what happened in that, our organization now has been elevated to a level of respect because we were clean in our campaign, because we could show we could mobilize people and swing an election. We're going to be looked to now. Even in the past, we've done seen
that
as leaders, but
Yeah.
But now we're going to be more significant. And so I welcome it. I mean, we need some strong leadership. I want to do a shout out to one of our guests, Bill Green, who was on. He did an amazing job in that campaign, and I think he helped swing that toward Collins.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Yeah.
He did some terrific ads. It was refreshing not to see the attack ads paid for from out-of-state people.
Yeah.
And, it was just.
I'll tell you, if we got 2 or 3%, the Sportsman's Alliance of Maine to swing on that issue, I bet you Bill Green got 2 or 3% also.
I agree with that.
He gave some, he did some fantastic. They're all positive.
Yes.
Down to earth.
He's a SAM member, and he has been for some time.
Yeah.
And he did appear in one of our mailers to a conservation mailer that we sent to 100,000 households, and very positive message from Democrats, Republicans, and unenrolled. And he was an effective messenger for Senator Collins, and shout out to him.
Well, it proves in Maine that, you have to, we don't all just vote for our party in Maine either. And it proves that the moderates actually do quite well, and they can get stuff done.
Yeah. To that point, we here in Maine, I think, are an anomaly as it relates to the rest of the country, Mike. Here in Maine, party affiliation really means nothing when you're talking about our outdoor culture, hunting, fishing, firearm rights. There's a very healthy respect for firearms here in the state. But when it comes to those rights, you don't vote simply for gun control because you're a Democrat and against it if you're a Republican. It crosses over, and
big crossover.
Until I think some of these national Democrat groups realize that, they're going to get the same thing they got this time around, which was complete rejection.
Yeah.
They outspent Senator Collins 2-1. Most of that money from California and New York. Michael Bloomberg, he poured in money. He put his name next to Speaker Gideon's. I believe that was her fatal mistake.
Yeah, definitely.
Aligning with that organization, Moms Demand Action, in every town cost her that election.
It's definitely possible. Yeah. I mean,
I'd almost guarantee it. I'd bet on it. I'd bet a week's paycheck on it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. In Maine, first of all, we don't like people coming in from out of state and telling us what to do.
Exactly.
But secondly, there's a mutual respect and admiration for our culture across political spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, that's evident because in reality, if you look at the demographics, Democrats, Independents, and Republicans, there's actually more Democrats now than either Independents or Republicans.
That's right.
And they swing. It's obvious. Because Senator Collins won, they will cross-party vote.
Yeah.
They'll vote on issues, and that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. With that, we have some other races. There was a second district competitive race between one of our board members, Dale Crafts, and Jared Golden. And Jared Golden ended up winning that race, which was, I think, a little bit closer than people thought it was going to be. I think it was 53-47. But I think that was partly the
pollsters didn't get any of these races right, actually.
Well, big surprise there. But it was interesting was that the numbers almost mirrored Donald Trump's in the second district. So I think there was some, Dale has a following for sure, and he's a good guy.
Yeah.
But I think the strong showing that Trump had in the second district, of which he won an electoral vote, he actually won the second district in Maine, helped Dale as well and other candidates. A bunch of House seats were won on the Republican side, and I think that was a surprise to a lot of people too. And I'll get to some of those races in a bit.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to get to those. Yeah, but in that race, either way, we have a good candidate. Whether it was Dale or Congressman Golden.
Yeah, that's right.
They're both going to be good for us.
Yeah, that's right. And I think Jared Golden, Congressman Golden, really started his campaign, or I guess his new term, in a positive note. He said, I want to be positive. I want to, represent my district. And he's making it clear. And I think he's sending a message to Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, that it's probably not going to continue the messaging you've been putting out there, which is to move everything to the left and more toward a socialist agenda and progressives. I believe this election, and this is the most important statement I'll make during this radio presentation, is that I think the progressive movement got rejected on Election Day. Whether here in Maine or at the national level, they spent ungodly record amounts of money on the progressive side, and a lot of their policies got rejected by the vote. The Senate did not go to the Democrats. The Republicans gained seats in the House, and in Maine, Republicans gained seats in the House. So,
I I don't know if I'd go, just personally, I totally respect your opinion. I don't know if I would quite go that far. I mean, I think they picked up some seats in the U.S. Senate, the Democrats did.
One
and
so far.
Most likely, as far as today goes, and again, this is being taped, so this is going to be old news tomorrow when it airs on the radio, but, it looks like they overtook the presidency, the Democrats.
Well, yeah, but I don't see Biden as a progressive.
He's not a progressive. He's not. No, he's a moderate.
Yeah. And you're going to see him have to stiff arm the progressives on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. This idea of every time you don't get your way or something happens you don't like, you go burn your city.
Yeah.
That's not the American way. We don't do that in this country.
Although maybe you're using the word progressive, and I think maybe more like the liberal might be a better term to use, that got somewhat rejected. I still think progressive, I don't know, maybe I just think of it as being wrong, but...
Well, Mike, progressives is a word that can be interpreted differently by any individual, and progressive for me is not emptying out the jails, purging people from the jails, reparations, and all these other things that these progressives want to do. In this country, we're compassionate, good people, but we're not all about defunding police and all this other sort of loud noise that's going on in the background. Americans are good people, whether you're Democrat or Republican or on and roll.
Absolutely,
And somebody's going to have to bring this country together and reject some of this anger. And, some of these, for example, some of these companies that were burned to the ground in these riots would have been out in the streets protesting the violence against anyone. If it's unnecessary and it's a tragic event, these people feel just as strongly. You don't show your compassion and your support for groups by burning things, by hurting people.
Right, exactly.
You stand arm in arm in the streets and you say, no, we're not going to accept this anymore. And that's the difference. The way you parse it out is, how do you reflect your anger? Yeah,
exactly. And I bet you'll agree with me on this. When I was in the State House, the Republicans would have an idea, the Democrats would have an idea. And it's when we all got together and negotiated and said, hey, how about think about it this way? And then if that were me, the Republicans would say, hey, that's not a bad idea. And then they'd say, well, what about this concept? And I'd say, hey, that's actually pretty good too. So, and in the end, we actually got a lot of stuff done.
You imagine that, Mike?
So
imagine that we'd actually get things done.
Yeah, we did at the time. Me and you. And
yeah, it was a good group of people. Matt Dunlap was one of them. And there's a lot of good people out there.
Yeah.
With that, we have one more race. Not a surprise, really. Shelley Pingree defeated Jay Allen, 62-38. He was a newcomer, didn't have a lot of money, a lot of name recognition, and he was in a fairly liberal district, so it wasn't a surprise. He's still a good guy. We interviewed him as a organization. And I don't know where he's going to land, but he's a physician, and we respect the fact that he's a physician. He's a healer, and he makes people's lives better. So a shout out to him. And so with that, we're going to take a little break here, and we'll get on to the state Senate. You're listening to Leadership Through Action, a production of the Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine Institute for Legislative Action.
Leadership Through Action, a presentation of SAM ILA. We'll be right back. Leadership Through Action is back. Here's David Trahan.
Welcome back to Leadership Through Action, a production of the Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine. For the listeners out there that want to join SAM, you can go to sportsmansallianceofmaine.org, join the organization, get lots of benefits, get the benefit of representation at the State House. Mike, we have a new legislature, and you happen to know the numbers.
Yeah, it looks like Democrats have 80 seats, Republicans 67, Independents are 4.
Oh, that's an interesting makeup.
Yeah.
It's closer than last time, a lot closer. I think the Republicans were down like another 8 or 10 members, if I remember it.
Yeah, they were in the 50s for sure. Yeah. And there were more independents last time. For some reason, I think there was 8 independents.
Yeah, there's quite a few. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Well, it's going to be interesting now that folks are going to have to work together a little bit. There is always a group on both sides of the aisle that cross over, and on the Democrat side, they're blue dogs, and on the Republicans, they're moderates. It'll be interesting to see who's in leadership. I heard that, for a while back there was an attempt, I think, at least to replace the Republican leadership. And then I do believe that Matt Dunlap's wife may be considering a run at leadership. She would be terrific.
Yeah.
Michelle Dunphy. She's awesome, Representative Dunphy. She's just a terrific lady, and she was on the Appropriations Committee last time around, and it would make sense that she might be in a position. On the other side, I heard that Heidi Sampson was considering a run against Dillingham. It's going to be hard to beat Representative Dillingham now because they gain seats in the House. Usually folks are unwilling to give up on their leadership when they gain seats. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
It will be, yeah.
Negotiations are easier with people that understand the dynamic up there, that you got to get some work done, and we'll see how it plays out.
And I will say, at least when I was there, and I think it holds true today, the Maine legislature actually does get work done.
Yeah, that's right.
For the most part, you see unanimous reports, whether pass, reject or whatever, like 90% of them.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's right.
It's definitely better in Maine.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to go down through some of the Senate races. A few of them were a surprise. Senate President Troy Jackson did win his seat. It was a little closer than I thought, 59-41. He's been in there quite a while. And
that's still pretty big, but yeah.
Yeah, but
big win.
I was expecting that to be a little wider. But right next to him.
And he does a great job.
Yeah,
and he's
always gets our endorsement.
Yeah,
He's
he
good
does.
to us.
Yeah. He's excellent.
Representative Stewart was running against Senator Michael Carpenter, who we had worked with very well last time around. Both of them were good candidates in the district, but Representative Stewart was the assistant Republican leader in the House, and he defeated Mike Carpenter pretty handily, 57-53, for a challenge against an incumbent. Not surprised, that's a Republican-leaning district, and there was a big turnout for Donald Trump. And so Mike Carpenter was defeated. It was a surprise to some, but it really wasn't that much of a surprise to me. Yeah.
It's kind of, it's not too bad. I was going to say it's too bad, but really it's not too bad. But Michael Carpenter, Senator Carpenter, was a great guy, and he was a supporter of sports.
Yeah, he was. He helped us negotiate some of the most controversial bills, like red flag last time, get that defeated, and he was a key player in that. And so he will be missed on that committee, but Stewart is also a good senator. He'll be a good senator.
Yeah, definitely.
In my mind. Yeah. Brad Farron, who's a strong supporter of ours, he retained his seat big. He won 69% of the vote up in the Skowhegan area. So we'll have a good time dealing with him in the Senate. Paul Davis, who's on our board, he kept his seat with 76% of the vote.
Yeah.
So that
Paul always does well.
Paul that's a pretty red area of the state.
Yeah.
Paul's no nonsense, kind of gruff, kind of guy, but no, he retained his seat handily. Jim Dill, another advocate, somebody we support every time around, a Democrat. He's up above Bangor, if I remember right.
In the Bangor area.
Yeah, Bangor. Yeah. He won his seat. He was a little closer, 58% of the vote. Marianne Moore, Representative Lucchini, who's one of my favorites in the legislature.
Yeah.
He was in a challenge with Brian Langley.
Yeah, I was really interested in that race because I know both of them, and both good people.
They are good people up there. Both of them. Representative Lucchini earned my respect a long time ago. He's just a straight shooter, works a lot with kids. He's just a really good guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and he's very approachable too. When he disarms you because he's so honest, when you walk up to him, how you doing, Representative?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so I think that's a good fit for that. So district.
he was in the House. Was he a senator last time or
last time he was a senator.
All right.
Yeah.
So he's been in the
served in the House once.
Yeah,
too.
he was with me in the House.
Yeah, he helped us when we were trying to reform the referendum system.
Right.
He helped us with a lot of those reforms
that
are now in place, and so shout out to him. And sorry, Brian, we like you too. So Kim Rosen, just an absolute darling. She won her seat.
Yeah.
She had a serious challenge from Representative Lockman in the primary, and she ended up surviving the primary. And she won pretty handily in the general election, 58-36.
She's really nice and good to work with too.
Yeah, she's just a good Maine citizen. Maine person.
Good person.
A newcomer, but not really. Joe Baldacci, he won up in the Bangor area. I had a really nice conversation with him. Sent in his SAM questionnaire, and it was very good. It was an A+. We don't endorse in those types of races without an incumbent. And I had a really nice discussion with. I think he'll be somebody we can work with.
Definitely.
Pretty practical. I think down to earth.
Yeah.
We'll see. Stacey Guerin one of Becky's favorite. She's just an absolute sweetheart.
She is too, yeah.
She won big. She won with 70% of the vote.
Wow.
And it goes to show our community thinks she's a great lady, too.
Yeah, definitely.
I suspect she'll be on Judiciary or one of those bigger committees.
Yeah. She was with me on Inland Fisheries and Wildlife for a while.
Yeah.
Too.
I think the biggest surprise was a newcomer to a Senate race, somebody who'd served in the House, Chloe Maxman, defeated Dana Dow in a very close race. See how much it was. 550 or so votes. But she worked her fingers to the bone trying to get that seat, and she got it.
That's what it takes.
Yeah,
and
Dana, that was the old seat I held as a state senator. I was surprised.
And he was in leadership and everything.
Yeah, he was the Republican leader in the Senate.
Yeah.
And he got defeated.
Wow.
That's going to leave a mark.
Yeah.
So Mark Walker, who I thought would really challenge Shenna Bellows. Shenna Bellows kept her seat. Matt Pouliot from the Augusta area, he won with 50. He's a really nice guy, good family.
Yeah.
He's an outdoorsman. He uses our facility once in a while, and just a really good guy. Augusta will be well represented by Matt.
Yeah,
Pouliot.
I like Matt. Definitely.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Easy to talk to and approachable.
Yeah, Scott Searway, retired police officer, I believe. He kept his seat. Russell Black, another terrific legislator and a good guy.
Yeah.
I know, Russell, when you're listening to this, you probably just came in from hunting or you're just getting ready to go hunting.
Probably both.
Yeah. Lisa Kime, Senator Kime from down in York County, she kept her seat. She's on the Judiciary Committee.
Yeah.
She actually sponsored a bill for us to replace the red flag bill and was instrumental in getting rid of that really bad legislation. We gave her an award, so she got reelected.
Yeah, definitely. She's from nice Western Maine,
Yeah. Richard Bennett, he was an ex-state senator. He came back and ran again, won easily. We would have endorsed him if we could, but we didn't. We gave him an A+, and he'll be good on our outdoor issues.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Jeff Timberlake, he was in Republican leadership. He won his seat handily, 61%. We'll, again, work very well with him.
Yeah.
You can get a pattern here. A majority of these senators, we have a well-established relationship that have worked with us. Most of them are very reasonable. We feel pretty good that we can mitigate problems and maybe advance some of the things we want to do in the next session.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So now, let's see if there's anything left here. Bill Diamond, again, awesome guy.
Excellent guy.
Yeah. Wasn't he Secretary of State or something?
He was, yeah.
And we've endorsed him every time he's run. He won handily.
Yeah.
I was a little bit surprised Stephanie Anderson didn't do as well. She lost, she only got 33% of the vote against Ann Carney, which I was thinking she'd do a little bit better, but she didn't. Isn't she a district attorney or something down there?
She was, yeah. She was district attorney for Cumberland County, which she won that quite often. But it's not nearly as partisan district attorney in that area, but I think she was trying to, that district is part of Portland, I believe.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. For a Republican. I used to win by I did actually pretty good for myself in Standish, but I sat next to a representative, Ben Chipman, who represented just a portion of Portland, and his election results would come up on the House calendar. It'd be like 5,287 to 368. You know, it was like, I'm like, man, I wish I had an easier race like that.
Well, he's done his work, and
he does. He does work hard. Yeah,
and he represents his district well. There was some hope that on the Republican side that Sarah Rivard would beat Stacey Brenner. That didn't happen. Not a big surprise. Donna Bailey won a seat. David Woodsum, a good senator, he won his seat back with 63% of the vote. So there's a pretty good makeup for us. When you're not looking at the party affiliation, you're looking at the individual. I feel like we have a pretty good group that we can work with a majority in the Senate that'll be reasonable.
Absolutely.
Especially with the governor. The governor's also been good to us, and so we suspect that on the outdoor stuff, now I don't want to get into all the other social stuff and the spending. You guys can make your judgment at the next election.
That's for a different group.
But for the outdoor community, we've had a really good relationship.
Yeah, the Sportsman's Alliance of Maine is in good shape with that makeup because, like you said, we work well with at least 85% of the people that were just elected in the Senate, and you can either have stuff you can send stuff to the Senate to die.
Exactly.
That was the old saying in the House.
Yeah.
Or you can work with people on. They're very influential. A lot of those folks to get stuff passed too. So,
well, I had some really good news yesterday. I found out that Tom Abello, who used to be the executive director for the Nature Conservancy, has been promoted in the Mills administration, and he'll be taking a much more active role in overseeing the legislative agenda.
Oh, good.
And whether you agree with Tom or not, he's a straight shooter. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
And I think that was a wise choice by the Mills administration. He's just, like I said, a really terrific guy.
That's
I
great.
fished with him and his daughters and his wife, and what a joy they are. Anyway, it's good memories right there. In my office is a picture of Tom's girls, and they're holding some white perch they'd caught in my boat, and it's one of my fonder memories.
Nice.
So I look forward to working with Tom and the administration.
Yeah, good guy.
With that, we're going to break, and then we'll come back and we'll cover some of the House races. With that, you're listening to the Sportsmen's Alliance Maine Institute for Legislative Action, Leadership Through Action, and we'll be right back.
Leadership Through Action, a presentation of SAM ILA. We'll be right back. Leadership Through Action is back. Here's David Trahan.
Welcome back to Leadership Through Action, a production of the Sportsmen's Alliance Maine Institute for Legislative Action. Mike, we got one more group to cover, and then we'll just do a little general discussion at the end.
Yeah, let's do
the
it.
House of Representatives, a place that both of us served. I served 8 years. How many did you serve?
I did. I did have to resign because I moved, but I resigned like 3 months before my fourth term. So I did 7 years and however many months. So just about 8.
Yeah.
We'll just call it 4 terms, 8 years.
Well, the House is a little. I served in both chambers. I was a senator for 2 terms and a rep for 4, and I can tell you that it's much more fun to be a House member. It's like a free-for-all over there. Anything can happen at any given time.
Yeah.
You can have some people do some pretty wild things, get up and give pretty wild speeches, and the whole place gets in a big uproar, and they have to take a break for everybody to calm down. And it can be pretty exciting. It's funny. We used to say that, we'd go in there and we'd hash out an issue for 6 hours of debate. You send it down to the Senate, and they'd put it under the gavel. Clink.
I know, exactly.
And neutralize everything you just did.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that was so frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember Matt Dunlap would say that the other party's not the enemy, the Senate is the enemy.
Exactly. That's if you're a House member, that's true.
So anyway.
Send stuff down there to die.
Yeah. The House is a little tighter this time around compared to last time.
Yeah.
What did you say the numbers were earlier?
There's
Can you remember?
80,
it was 80-something.
60-something and 4.
Yeah, 80, 60-something.
67.
67.
And 4. Yeah, 4 independent.
Yeah, so Becky's over there counting on her fingers.
Yeah, so it must have been, I think last time it was like...
Hey, Becky, wait a minute. Are those white perch earrings you're wearing, I just noticed? Let's take a picture of those. Whip that camera around, would you, John? Take a look at those. Oh, my God, those are the coolest thing ever.
They are cool. I didn't notice that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that shows you where her heart is.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, her family's been in my boat many a times catching a bucket full of white perch.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, she makes a pretty mean white perch chowder.
Nice.
So with that, the House is an interesting place. They're always trying to one-up each other, and they have these impassioned debates, and a lot of times that the chamber will clear out because there's somebody up there giving a long-winded speech. But I enjoyed that part of it. I love the livelihood and the back and forth and all that. So
definitely.
Yeah. So we're going to see a little different House this time. Let's talk about some people over there. Not sure. I think Dillingham will probably hold on to her leadership for the Republicans. They'll be in the minority. On the Democrat side, might be a little bit more interesting. I heard that Michelle Dunphy, Representative Dunphy, Matt Dunlap's wife, may be running for leadership. That would be great news for us.
I wonder which spot in leadership.
Leader. I heard leader.
Floor leader or speaker?
Floor leader, majority leader.
Yeah.
Not speaker. But
who's going to go for speaker? That's the big...
Well, that's a darn good question. That's a really good question.
Why wouldn't she go for speaker?
Why not? She'd make a great speaker.
I think she would, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want her slamming that gavel on me. Wham!
I know, exactly. Gavel you out.
Yeah, well, it would be night and day versus Speaker Gideon versus Speaker Gideon. I'm not saying that Speaker Gideon wasn't a good speaker. I'm just saying it's a whole different approach to things. Their personality is different. I think it would be really good for us. Not that Speaker Gideon wasn't, just that We just didn't have a well-established relationship with Speaker Gideon. The Speaker will remain until there's a swearing in,
Right.
and then hand the gavel off to whoever wins that race.
Yeah.
So leadership matters, and in this case, legislative leadership matters. There's going to be some huge shortfalls in the budget. I've heard $1.5 billion.
Wow. That's worse than when I was there.
Yeah.
It was
Governor
hard when I was
Mills,
there.
you lucked out because Senator Collins is likely to be chair of the Appropriations Committee, and being able to deliver funding as chair of the Appropriations Committee will be pretty effective for the state of Maine. I think it'll make Governor Mills' job a little easier.
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope
Yeah.
they include some funding for states in this next
Well, I know that they're already negotiating a new PPP program.
Yeah.
Speaker Collins' office is already involved. I think Joe Manchin's Senator
Senator, yeah.
Manchin is
Senator
involved
Collins
in that
and
discussion. What I hope the message is that we need a functioning Congress, both chambers, and maybe this will be a wake-up call for a few people that there's value in somebody that's able to get the job done. So, some of the seats that I was looking at earlier, a lot of these names are new. Wayne Perry's not new, but kept his seat. He's a good guy. We work with him quite a bit. Heidi Sampson may be running for leadership on the Republican side. She kept her district. 64%. Name from the past, John Tuttle. Do you remember John?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember
Representative
John.
Tuttle,
Yeah.
I think he was a senator for a while, too.
He was both. Yeah.
Yeah. He came back. He won his seat. So he was running against Pamela Buck. And I know that name pretty well. And I think it was a tough race. It was
John
pretty close.
He is a really good guy too.
Yeah.
John Tuttle.
Yeah. I'm going to get you to come up, Mike, and lobby him for us.
Okay.
We'd make a pretty effective lobbying team up there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think we've done that once or twice.
We have. Yeah. You do an excellent job, but yeah, if you ever need backup, just give me a buzz.
Yeah.
I'll be right there.
I wouldn't consider you backup, Mike. One of the districts that I was disappointed in was who used to be Senator Millett. She sponsored what we considered the draconian gun bill, the red flag bill. She won a seat in the House, and we'll keep an eye on her because she was an advocate for gun control in the Senate, and she's now moved over to the House. I hope that we can put this red flag bill to bed once and for all. It's going to be harder to pass it now.
Yeah.
I don't think the governor supports that type of legislation, so maybe she'll just ride out her 2 years without having to engage in a gunfight.
Exactly.
No pun intended. Disappointed Tammy Walter. She was in District 32, Spurwink Club. She was a leader down there and in protecting their club when they were under attack from their neighbors, helped preserve their shooting ranges and their right to be a fishing game club. She's in a tough district in the Cape Elizabeth area. She lost there, but shout out to you, Tammy. You're always a winner in my book. All right, some of the other seats. Stephen Moriarty kept his seat. Oh,
He'll be on the judiciary, I think.
yeah, I suspect. Yeah.
He's actually a very nice guy too. Yeah.
Finnegan, Jay Finnegan. I play golf with him and John McCain, and God, what funny he is. He ran down there in the Freeport area. He got beat pretty badly, but not because he's not a good guy and would make a good legislator. He's just in a really liberal district. But Jay, I would have loved to have seen you up there. I would have reminded you that I usually beat you in golf, but nobody's counting.
He's in Freeport, I believe, right?
Yeah, Freeport. Yeah. He's down your way.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. He's a pretty good writer, too. He was communications director for the House Republican office when I was serving. So he was a good writer, but I always wrote my own stuff. He just edited it.
There you go.
All right, we got some more. Jeff Pierce, former legislator. He ran down in the Harpswell area. Not Harpswell. Was it Harpswell? I think it was.
No.
Down around Bath Iron Works.
In Bath? Dresden.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
Yeah, Becky thanks, Beck. He got defeated. Allison Hepler kept her seat. And Jeffrey Pierce, he got into a mess. Well, I'm not going to get into that, but
he's a nice guy, but he did get into a mess when he was back in.
Yeah, so
that's too bad.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Tommy Martin, I call him Tommy. He's twice my size. I went to school with him, and I reminded him we were on the football team together. I believe he was a tight end, and I was a defensive back, and I laid some licks on him when he would catch the ball. Big guy.
Yeah, he
and
is
so
big.
I'm not that big of a guy, and I could hit him low, and I remind him of that quite often. He was a former senator. He served when I did over in, I believe I served with him in the Senate. I'm not 100% sure. I know I did. But he's just a really good guy.
I served with him in the House.
He's a terrific guy, and he kept he won pretty handily. He won 64% of the vote.
Wow.
I look forward to working with him. He's a really cool guy. We tell the old stories from the high school days. We're both getting up there in age, 57. So it's been quite a while. Those were the glory days, I guess. Jessica Fay. Now, she's on the Inland Fisheries and Wildlife Committee, and there's always been this worry that somebody who was anti-hunting, animal rights type would get on that committee, and there was a lot of fear that Jessica Fay might be that type of person. She proved to be one of the most thoughtful legislators on that committee. And really, all we ever ask for is thoughtful.
Yeah.
And not partisan. And
it's funny, Jane Eberly was the same way. She was a non-consumptive user. We that was the term that we used back in the time anyways. And she was so thoughtful on all those issues. I always looked forward to getting her input.
Yeah, she's done a good job. She's a good legislator, and again, we're just looking for people that are thoughtful and put the resource first. And I think she did that pretty well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and especially when new on a committee like that, and you've never been on it, it's tough. And she did a good job.
What were the numbers in that race?
Pretty close, 51-49. Gregory Foster ran against her. And
she's out kind of near where I used to be in the Standish area.
Yeah, she kept that seat. Sue Austin, Representative Austin, anybody that's ever met her, she is a hoot. She is her own person, and she's not shy about letting people know it. She does her own thing, and she's always dressed up classy.
She always has the hats to prove it.
Yeah, she's a colorful legislator. She won pretty good, 54% to 29-16. So she walked away with that race in a three-way race. Rich Sebra, another terrific guy. He's a transportation guy, but he's an avid Second Amendment supporter.
He is, big time.
Yeah, he's go-to guy.
I used to carpool in with him from time to time.
Is that right?
He lived actually, our districts abutted, and we were. We had one district, actually a sliver of a district between us, and all three of us would carpool. So it'd be me, Ralph Sardi, and Rich Sebra commuting in together.
Ralph Sardi, Rich Sebra, and you. That's a combination.
It was. Yeah,
you have a few drinks. I could see the three of you having a few drinks, and it'd be quite colorful.
We used to have some good conversations on the way up.
I bet you did. I bet you did. A couple of seats. Representative Wadsworth, he's from down in York County. His family owns a large logging business. I connect with him because I used to be in the logging business 30-some years, and he is just a terrific individual. They're deeply rooted in the Freiburg Fair. Their family runs it, basically, and they always come over to our booth, don't they, Becky? And we have some nice conversations at 9 o'clock at night when we're exhausted and ready to go home. He's always been a good legislator. I think he's always an advocate of ours in the outdoor community.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Selwyn Millett, thank God he kept his seat. He's the most intelligent as far as the budget goes. He knows where all the skeletons are buried. He's been a budget officer for governors. He won his seat, and thank goodness, because we're going to need him more than ever to keep that budget in line. Yeah, I suspect he'll be the Republican lead on the Appropriations Committee.
I would think.
Yeah, he's got to be. He's got to be.
He is, and he's he is just a really nice guy too.
Yeah, he unassuming, not judgmental, just a really good quality legislator, but brilliant financial mind. Yeah. When I used to be clever with my amendments and I'd need to fund something, I'd always go see Salwin and say, "Hey, Salwin, where's this some money buried?
How can I do this? Yeah.
Where's this some money buried I can get to do this?"
Too funny.
Yeah. He would try to send me to a place that wasn't controversial because he knew I used to love to tie it up with people. And one year I went after money that the professors got to go on sabbaticals across the world, basically. These professors, every year, they get huge amounts of money to go all over the world on sabbaticals and paid for by the taxpayers. And I went after that money. And at the time, I think it was Speaker Caldwell who said, "Enough of that. What do you want?"
Yeah.
So he always pointed me in creative areas. But good luck to you, Salwin. You're going to need it with a $1 billion shortfall.
Yeah.
Kathleen Dillingham, Representative Dillingham, she'll be Republican leadership, I suspect. John Andrews, he won his seat. A new Catherine Netto over in the Winslow area. The first one, same name, was a Democrat. She was the chair of the Inland Fisheries and Wildlife Committee, was replaced by a Kathy Netto.
Huh.
Same name.
Yeah, that's
except on the Republican side.
Wow, did they ever run against each other? I wonder. That'd be confusing.
Well, I don't know how to frame this up, but it was very, very confusing for me. Tim Terrio, Representative Terrio, he's a colorful member of the IF&W committee, and he's always unpredictable. And he keeps telling me that if he can get a reduced life membership to Sam, he'll buy one. But I told him, I said, you're going to have to get old to do that.
Exactly. Just look at all the money he could save on stuff at Cabela's, though.
Hey, I've been working on him, but I just can't get him there.
Well, you give me his number.
Yeah, okay, I will. Just an absolute darling, Donna Dorr, one of our, I think, one of our most passionate supporters. Her husband, Tom, he comes over and helps me working on the barn restoration we're doing. And smart guy, very unassuming, but he knows what he's doing. And I told him the other day, I said, almost every day you come up with a really good idea. And he's up to about a dozen or so now. I think you might want to do it this way. And he'll tell you, and you'll go, wow, that's pretty slick. I wish I'd have thought of that. That's a shout out to you, Tom. Good legislator. Donna is a terrific legislator. She's Democrat from the Augusta area, over in Vassaboro, I believe. Charlotte Warren. I don't really know how to make out Representative Warren. She's on the Criminal Justice Committee and should be managing a lot of the gun control legislation. And we've had good off and on type relationship. Depends on the issues. She doesn't take any nonsense, I'll tell you that.
She'll probably be chair, you think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I hope everything goes well in that committee because we just went through a bloody election. Let's hope we don't have another one.
Yeah.
Another cycle where we get into confrontation.
That's a interesting committee.
It is. Yeah. I've heard recently that there are people running away from that committee that have served on it and some that want to go on it. I hope that's not a bad sign.
It's pretty partisan at times.
Yeah, I think that's why some want to get on it and some want to get off. They don't want to be on a partisan committee. Yeah. That's where all the gun control stuff goes to die. Yeah. Jeff Hanley won his seat. Justin Fechtow won his seat. Surprised me. Stephanie Hawk down in the Booth Bay area. She ran against Holly Stover, the incumbent. I thought that would be maybe an upset. It didn't happen. Holly Stover kept her seat. Jeff Evangelos, who's my legislator down in Waldoboro, he's an independent. He won a 53-47, fairly close for that. It's a Republican-leaning district, but he kept that seat. He usually caucuses with the Democrats, but he's pretty independent. He was good on judiciary for us.
He's definitely independent.
Yeah. He's pretty strong-willed. Yeah. He's not gonna cave because you want him to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Molly Luce ran against William Pluker, and that was down in the Appleton area. She did pretty well for a one-time or first time, running. She ran 54-46. I suspect I'll see her run again. Yeah, that's pretty good for a first run for sure. David Hagan, he's a terrific guy. He's on criminal justice. He's the Republican lead. He does a nice job as a legislator. So I always look forward to working with him. Jim Thorne works at the Northwood Sporting Journal. Great outdoorsman, somebody you can count on 100%. He won a seat. 63% of the vote.
Wow, that's good. Yeah,
that's big. So shout out to you, Jim. Can't wait to work with you. Matter of fact, if I need a sponsor on a bill, I may come see you.
Definitely.
Yeah. Patrick Corey won his seat. I didn't. He's one of our bigger advocates. He sponsors many of our bills.
It's funny. Other than Senator Diamond, all the Wyndham races were uncontested, I believe. So
yeah, they work together.
That's lucky. Yeah. I always had two challengers.
I had one term where I wasn't challenged, and whoa, man, what a nice time that was.
That's a relief. Yeah.
Being able to go hunting, do some fall fishing.
I
know. This one surprised me. John Patrick, a former legislator and a senator, ran up in the Rumford area against the incumbent, Representative Dolliff. She won that seat. She beat John Patrick, which was a bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah.
Happy for her. Just was a surprise. He's a tough cookie.
Yeah.
Richard Pickett, another good legislator, won with almost 70% of the vote. Again, Michelle Dunphy, Matt Dunlap's wife, she won up in the Orono area. She kept her seat. Sherm Hutchins, oh man, is he a Mainer? True and true. He's got the accent, Downeaster. Just a good legislator, too.
Yeah.
Good community leader, too, from what I understand. He's very active in his community. A really good choice for a representative. Yeah. Robert Alley, I've known Robert for a while. He was on the Inland Fisheries and Wildlife Committee.
Yeah.
He's another tough guy. He's a Downeaster. He's down in...
He was there when I was there on IF&W, and he is a really nice guy, too.
Yeah, he's a tough guy.
Easy for us to work with.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
Will Toole, just a terrific, thoughtful legislator. He won his seat, a Republican, down in the same Down East area as Robert Alley. William Toole, when he speaks, people listen. He's just... When he has something to say, it's usually pretty deep, pretty thoughtful.
and he's pretty direct too.
He is. Yep.
He's very concise, so he doesn't have to go on and on forever because he tells you what he wants to say.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
Jeff Gifford kept his. I think he was the incumbent, wasn't he? Was a former legislator. Yeah, former legislator. I know the name really well. He won his seat, 72% of the vote. Chris Johansson won. Let's see. David McRae. That was an interesting race. He beat an incumbent? No, he's the incumbent, Dave McRae. I remember his questionnaire. It wasn't very good. But that doesn't mean we can't work with him.
Exactly. We just have to talk to him about the issues.
Yeah, we got to do a little more work there, educating. Yeah. John Martin kept his seat pretty handily. Roland Danny Martin, ex-commissioner of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. Both of them are good outdoor advocates.
Really
they both kept their seats.
Yeah. Shout out to John. We ought to mention he was the crafter of Maine's version of the Second Amendment, and it's
Article 1, Section 16.
Very straightforward.
Yes,
it just simply says that the right to keep and bear arms shall never be questioned.
Yeah,
and that's it. That's it in Maine. It's just
that's right.
Very straightforward.
That's been the guidepost. We're the safest state in the nation to live as it relates to violent crime. We know how to responsibly live with firearms.
Yeah.
And,
so shout out to John and Danny Martin was always really excellent. Well, John was did our version of the Second Amendment, and he's very good on IF&W issues too. But Danny Martin, not related, I don't think. A tiny bit. Cousins? Oh, all right. Well, either way, it doesn't matter. Right. Yeah, he's really good too. Of course, he was former commissioner of IF&W, and he really knows the issues on hunting, fishing, and all. He's an excellent legislator too. So that was good.
Yeah, I don't know how much time we have left, but I do want to say that I'm not afraid of the makeup of this legislature. I know most of the people that will be the decision makers. It's not that they'll do us any favors, but they're thoughtful, they're fair. We can work with them. If they don't like what we have in mind, they'll tell you. It's always nice when you go to a legislator and say, how you feeling about this bill? And they say, well, I just can't support it, and this is why. Makes my job easier. I hate the ones that beat around the bush and you can't figure out what they're saying, and you never know until they go push their button.
Yeah.
I can tell you, with me, you earn my respect when you're truthful, whether I agree with you or not.
Exactly, yeah.
I think you probably find the same thing.
Yeah,
just
definitely.
Be honest. Tell us where you are.
Like you say, I think the Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine will work very well with this legislature and the governor. Governor Mills has been excellent for all of our issues.
Yeah.
So
I will be having a meeting. Actually, Judy Camuso, the commissioner, is coming to one of our upcoming board meetings. We're going to be talking about what could be a controversial issue. The department's going from what used to be a 4-night in-person hunter safety class to an all-online hunter safety class. And when you're talking accidental shootings and the safety of the general public, it's always controversial to flip the switch and go from an in-person 4-day program to an all-online.
Right.
So we'll be talking about that. I think what they're trying to do is transition more into mentoring to help, because there's been a generation lost in passing on the crafts of hunting and fishing. A lot of parents out there, their kids have an interest, but they've never done it. So they're trying to transition to more mentoring, hands-on.
Mentoring is a great idea,
yeah.
But on the flip side, hunter safety is
Oh, yes. That's a tough one.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to listen and see what she has to say and see if she has any, data on this.
Other states, 1 minute. Well, it appears that the sheriff has just let us know that we have 1 minute left. With that, Mike, I think we need to wrap this show up. It's like starting out a new adventure. We have a new legislature.
It is.
We may have a new president. We may have, we're going to have a new president one way or the other, and a new Congress. Let the adventure begin.
Exactly.
Yeah. With that, you're listening to a production of the Sportsmen's Alliance Maine Institute for Legislative Action, Leadership Through Action. We hope you'll consider joining Sam. Go to sportsmansalliancemaine.org and become part of the movement.
It's membership driven.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This has been Leadership Through Action, presented by the Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine's Institute for Legislative Action. Become a member of SAM today by visiting sportsmansallianceofmaine.org.